The following is a presentation on the UFSN network. Welcome to the UFAFL Nation.
Greetings and salutations. Yes, episode 1 of UFAFL Nation. I'm your host, Michael Skrzyniak. You can follow me on Twitter at Michael_SKRZ. And joining me, hey, that guy, Andy McNamara, head of football operations. How you doing, sir? It's been a long time.
I know, buddy. Good to see you. Good to be with you again. The band is back together. Can't keep us apart for too long, my man.
No, the Mega Powers are reuniting once again. Andy, exciting adventure here at UFSN with the UFAFL. The draft was this past weekend. Now, before we dive into what happened in the draft, let's talk a little bit about this league. So it's unlike any other fantasy football league that I've been a part of. It basically mimics the NFL. Like, it's 32 teams. You have 53-man rosters. You play 46 on game day. You have a practice squad. There's salary caps in it. People are hiring capologists and general managers left and right. This is an exciting adventure, and I'm glad that you brought me part of this.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, great, first of all, to have you a part of it. I knew it was something as I was getting involved with UFF Sports that at some point on the football side, I definitely wanted you in on it. So very happy to have you in. But yeah, you're right. This mimics the NFL. This is the closest that you're going to be able to get to running an NFL front office without being a billionaire, right? Or without being, a former player or whatever. This is the 46 active, as you said, the 16-man practice squad, going with the salary cap. And I've had to help set up numerous interviews for teams hiring GMs for our 53-round draft, which, as you said, just happened this past weekend. And then after that, that's for the veterans players. Now we're getting ready for the rookie auction and rookie draft. And Skrizz, after all that, after all the hard work you do, you still, by September 3rd, have to chop it down to 53 and make sure you're cap compliant. So I can't wait to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, so people watching this might just think like, oh, so they probably took Trevor Lawrence in like the second or third round. Like, no, he's not part of this initial draft.
Nope.
The rookie draft was all the rookies that were drafted this past season. Some more things about this draft. So I guess it's essentially a half-point PPR league. You start one of every position. You start O-lineman. You have 10 flexes, which can be anywhere from special teams aces to basically, I don't know, backup D lineman to try to get some tackles. So, yeah, you have every position on the field. And you have punters, you have kickers. So you better know your stuff. You better have somebody doing the research for you, or you better be a diehard junkie, or you're going to be left in the dust in this league.
That's it. Because the thing is, with normal fantasy leagues, all right, you have a few rounds. Easy to pick the first couple, right? Easy to pick the best player in the first couple rounds. Who are you taking in round 42? Who did you take?
Oh, boy.
Did you just mail it in and you didn't know? Or are you scouting? Are you having an eye on that talent, right? Maybe that backup player that in a year is going to be somebody who you think, okay, well, you know what? He's going to take over from this other player who's on an expiring contract. It's a loop. So how did you do there?
Absolutely. So let's get into it then. Let's go with the draft. And first round standouts to me, I noticed that the first 12 picks were all quarterbacks. And 20 overall were taken in the first round. So as a guy who does usually like 12 to 14 team leagues, quarterbacks usually go late in regular drafts. But you can't think of this UFAFL fantasy league as a regular home league, because you don't want to get stuck without a QB, because then come maybe the rookie auction draft, you're going to have to overpay for the likes of a Justin Fields or a Trevor Lawrence. So the first one that really, no one's going to be surprised, Patrick Mahomes went number 1. That was the team run by Michael Vick, Chris Carter, and Boston legend Terrence Crawford. Am I right?
That's right. That's the first overall pick. They took Patty Mahomes as their franchise QB.
Yeah, no surprise there. Obviously, he's going to be there for 15 years. He's his stock is as high as any other QB right now. He'll be able to sell them into the Legends League later on for a nice price tag. But the number 2 pick was actually kind of surprising to me. Justin Herbert of the Chargers. I know right now he's on the rookie deal, so that goes a long way in the salary cap league. Big surprise to you that Justin Herbert went second overall?
It was a little bit, and that's from Circus Sports Trout. So that's the team of Derek Stevens, who owns 3 Las Vegas casinos. He's got his whole war room in. They had in the draft show, for those who caught it on AO Sports TV, he had it from the VSiN Sports Network, so the largest sports book in America. He had that all set up. And what I believe the thinking behind that is, without knowing, is, yeah, it's the rookie deal. You have a guy who, projection-wise, has the same skill set, who could potentially reach the same type of ceiling that Josh Allen did, similar types of players, but you're getting him on the discounted deal. So I thought it was a bit of a bold pick, but you're still getting a stud who's coming off of being Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely. Some other QBs that went in that round, Aaron Rodgers at 9. I really like the value there because even if he doesn't play for maybe another 4 years, you can sell him into the Legends League and make some money off that. Though another one that surprised me because of other circumstances, I don't know if I want to get into that, but Deshaun Watson at 17 seemed a little high. He's probably not going to play this year. Obviously, when he plays, he's a stud. But the value of Deshaun Watson, I'm curious to see what happens with that pick in about a year or two, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then
a lot to unpack there, yeah.
Yeah, because he's probably, I'm assuming he's going to get traded eventually out of Houston. So if he goes to a Philly or a Denver with maybe a better team around him, maybe his value goes up. But as for right now, for your first round pick, it's a very, very brave decision. That's all I'm going to say.
It's bold.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, no, it is a bold pick. And yet, does he play at all this year? Like you said, if he gets traded, the value is tremendous because he is one of the best quarterbacks in football. But the current year, if this is a one-and-done league, you don't touch Deshaun Watson. But because it is dynasty and ongoing, that's the question. So yeah, it was an interesting. That one caught my attention. It's like, oh, yeah, okay,
exactly. We'll see. Some round 2 standouts that I saw: Travis Kelsey at the 208 spot. I think is great value because not only he's going to be probably the best tight end for 2 or 3 years, but then when his Hall of Fame resume is set there, you can sell him into the Legends League. Another guy that's just going to make profits for you after he's done playing football. And then Chase Young at 210, the first defensive player off the board. I remember we were messaging each other back and forth. We thought this probably was going to happen, maybe him or like a Myles Garrett. Chase Young, though, at 210. Any shock there?
I think that's one of the things I was tracking, Skrizz. Like, where was that first defensive player? Because it gets to a point, of course, where, all right, do I just take the quarterback, or am now I committed to going all in on the rookie auction and trying to get one of these rookie guys? You know, that's, or you draft whoever and you try to stack up in a certain position group and use that as trade capital to trade for a franchise QB later. So I was wondering, when does that first player get taken? Because it's tackles for loss, it's sacks, it's all that good stuff. So Chase Young makes a ton of sense, again, on his rookie deal. And I think that's probably why he went ahead of someone like Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett's gotten paid. Myles Garrett's getting big dollars. So you get still Chase Young for a little bit of time before you have to worry about that big contract.
So before we go further into the draft, because there was a couple of drafts, like I was looking at the first 5-6 rounds and trying to gauge people's strategies. So we can talk about maybe the UFAFL spotlight later on, but maybe right now let's get into some stock up, stock down, because we did have some news the last 24 hours, especially with some running backs of importance. So I know you wanted, with your stock up, to talk about the New England Patriots and possibly the LA Rams situation.
Yeah, well, Sony Michel, Bootski, he's out. He's off to Los Angeles. And so
who's a great player for the Pats.
Yeah, well, you know what? His rookie year, he was strong. Then he just sort of got stuck in that muddy situation of the backfield that is the New England Patriots, right? You had Rex Burkhead. Then he got banged up a bit. You had James White. Damian Harris came in, right? So now all of a sudden you look at Harris as the stock up and you go to L.A., well, the stock down right there, Skrizz. And I just had a feeling. I couldn't point to any statistic or any scientific thing with it, but in my gut, I just knew there was no way that the Rams were going to enter the season with Darrell Henderson as their sole lead back. You had, I believe it's Xavier Jones as the primary backup, who never taken a regular season
Jake Funk.
Jake Funk, who I'm rooting for Jake Funk just because of the memorabilia possibilities. Like I want Jake Funk to be a star. You can have the like Funk university shirts. You know, you can do. I'm writing this stuff for Jake. It's perfect, but we don't know. We don't know what he's going to be. So now I just thought with Cam Akers going down, there's got to be another step, and Sony Michel is that step. So what does that mean, Skrizz? We're in another committee situation in a backfield in the NFL.
Yeah, people should have seen the writing on the wall with Henderson because they drafted him, I think it was a 3rd-round pick 2 years ago. They saw enough from him to take Cam Akers the next year. So you knew they never thought of him as a pure bell cow back. So when I was hearing rumors of like Adrian Peterson possibly going to the Rams, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I don't think Sean McVay views Henderson as like a 17 to 20 touch guy in this league. And they obviously just proved that. So I like your selection there. I think Michel, he's definitely going to bring a little bit of value as a backup guy and possibly the goal line back with the Rams as well. So
could be. Yeah,
Harris, though, there's not a whole lot behind him. Ramondre Stevenson, but yeah, right now it's his backfield. For my stock up, I was checking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Stevenson's kind of a preseason darling. So does that turn into another committee in New England? I don't know. With
you never know with Belichick,
man. You never know. I really liked what I saw out of Harris, but just because we all like something doesn't mean that Uncle Bill does, right?
Absolutely. So my stock up, I was watching some preseason this weekend, and the one quarterback that I've been keeping my eye on, Trey Lance of the San Francisco 49ers. He had 2 touchdowns this past Sunday against the Chargers. I feel like he's going to start for the Niners probably earlier than expected. Like they traded up multiple first-round picks to go get him, 3rd overall. He went 7 for 8 in his last 3 drives. He's got rushing upside. Remember, last year, Jalen Hurts, his completion percentage was only 52% in 4 starts last season, and he was the QB8 in those games because he rushed for 272 yards. So at 68 rushing yards a game, that's like a 1,150-yard pace for the season. If you're telling me Trey Lance can get in maybe, let's say, week 3, week 4, with his rushing upside, and like who knows what he can do with that league. And he's got a way better roster around him than Jalen Hurts had in Philly. Like you have George Kittle, you got Deebo Samuel, you got Brendan Ayuk, and you got Kyle Shanahan, one of the best play callers in the NFL right now. I think stock is way up on Trey Lance. And even in like your home leagues, if you say you take a Ryan Tannehill late, a Matthew Stafford late, if your last pick can be a Trey Lance, I think you're set up for some nice fantasy success in your season.
I'm 100% with you. Really depends the setup of your league. But yeah, and the question is, when does Trey Lance get in? I'm convinced it's not an if, but a when, based on that. And as well, so the question becomes too, with the UFAFL rookie auction, Trey Lance, with all the capital you mentioned that they put into him as far as trading up to draft him, what are you looking for as the payout? How much are you looking for a this year payout compared to a down the road payout? And opposite that, if you take Jimmy Garoppolo, like the Niners at some point, this strategy is going to be very interesting because Kyle Shanahan is the QB whisperer. He has a QB-friendly offense all around, and everything is geared for quarterback success and make it as easy as possible for them. So to me, if you get Jimmy Garoppolo, they still want Jimmy to look good because they want to trade Garoppolo for hopefully a second round pick.
Value.
The offseason rumors, right? So when do you pull Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, I think perfect world for the 49ers. You have him through the first 4 games of the season. He looks good. Then you try to trade him to a team that gets an injury. You get your second round pick and you run with Trey Lance. But that all depends. If Jimmy G comes out flat, you might have to pull him. And then all of a sudden your want for that second round pick plummets and you're going to be looking at an offseason deal.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be fat. This is like kind of Kaepernick, Alex Smith all over again.
Right. Like where do they go? Where does he go? And Jimmy G has not been able to stay healthy. When he was healthy, Skrizz, Niners went to the Super Bowl. That's something to keep in mind too.
So who do you have for your stock down?
Stock down was Darrell Henderson. That's definitely my just straight up stock down. Because like we talked about, and the backfields overall. If you can't rely on somebody, like Henderson had his shots last year, and he didn't do anything with him. So now, like, where do you categorize him? To me, Darrell Henderson went from an RB2 status to a flex spot type of thing. You know, like he went to me as someone I can't rely on because Skrizz, doesn't this have like something where Henderson's going to go off one week? You're like, okay, I got, and then you're going to chase, and then it'll be Michel, and then the funkster's going to come in and do something. You know, like there's so many pieces that now we don't know. You look at somebody too, the stock down situation just league wide. You got to look at the Raiders with Josh Jacobs, and you had Kenyon Drake come in, stock down for both. Now you can't have either one as more than an RB2, right? Like that's another situation of a stock down. Here's one for you. Here's one for you, for all you viewers out here. I believe, even though it's technically a committee in Arizona, you have Chase Edmonds and you have James Conner, right? James Conner comes in from Pittsburgh. Dude cannot stay healthy. And I've been getting this question a lot on social media at AndyMCD1, hashtag Ask Andy. They say, which one do I take? And Skrizz, to me, it's a no-brainer. You take Chase Edmonds because now maybe James Conner's healthy the whole year and they both cancel each other out. But if history tells us that he won't, you want the shares of Chase Edmonds, who in limited time as a sole guy, when given the opportunity, has been able to produce. So that's somebody there who I think if you're out of the two, you're looking Chase Edmonds. So I'd say, you know, again, a general stock up, stock down. Chase Edmonds stock up because of the opportunity that he probably will have.
I actually think James Conner is the better value because if you look in your regular draft, if he's healthy, but when he is, I just think he'll have the goal line opportunities. And I think because you see Edmonds, like in regular leagues, he's going like the 5th, 6th round, where James Conner's going like the 12th, 13th. And if you're telling me Conner's going to get third downs and goal line touches, I'm not sure that the value between the two guys is that far apart. For my stock down, I want to take it to more of the QB side. And I'm watching the Indianapolis Colts play the Minnesota Vikings this past weekend. And Minnesota allowed Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater to throw 3 touchdowns combined. And then I'm watching Jacob Eason and Sam Ellinger battle for this number 1 spot that might be there because we don't know yet if Carson Wentz is healthy. And they throw for 0 touchdowns and 2 picks against a defense that just allowed Drew Lock to annihilate them. So Eason directed like 2 field goal drives. But if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, you better pray that Carson Wentz comes back soon, or else there's very little value in a Michael Pittman. Jonathan Taylor's value goes down quite a bit. And they start the year versus the Seahawks, the Rams, the Titans, the Dolphins, and the Ravens. So good luck, Indy. I hope you guys have good doctors because you guys need Carson Wentz real bad.
Like Skrizz, real bad. Because like you said, like, and Carson Wentz has been back at practice. Apparently he was running around a little bit. So that's good. But can you rely on the health of Carson Wentz? I'm with you. I would be tentative on anybody not named Jonathan Taylor on that Colts team for my fantasy team simply because of what you stated.
Yeah, man. It's as a Titans fan, I love it. I love watching these QB struggle. But yeah, it should be interesting with Carson Wentz there. At least he provides because I really want Michael Pittman late in drafts, so I really need Carson Wentz to throw him the ball. All right, let's go back to the UFA. Let's go back to UFAFL Nation. Let's spotlight a couple things that we saw through this draft. Now, you were telling me like this draft lasted, I think, over 3 or 4 days. So I wasn't able to catch 3 days. So I wasn't able to catch like the later rounds, but I was looking, first of all, the first overall pick of the Paradise Blackhawks. They start with Patrick Mahomes. They take Ezekiel Elliott in the 2nd round. It's really expensive start to the draft, but for this year and going forward, thinking about the Legends League and with Ezekiel Elliott and his brand and Patrick Mahomes, obviously we talked about earlier, that was a great start to the draft. However, my favorite draft through 5 rounds, the 5th slot, the Blockchain Bounty Hunters, they start with Kyler Murray, who could be an MVP this year, Aaron Jones as your first running back. You go Myles Gaskin in the 3rd round as your 2nd running back. Julio Jones, first wide receiver in the 4th round, who obviously changed teams. He's in Tennessee. He might not have that many years left. However, the Legends League, like you got to take that into consideration. And then Tyler Boyd in the 5th. Like that's an incredible start to the draft from the 5th spot. I think these guys absolutely killed it. I haven't seen the whole roster yet, but through just those 5 rounds, I was very impressed with that draft.
It is. It's an interesting start. I personally really like the Tom Brady pick by the Rage because, again, on the the revenue earning potential when he goes to the Legends League. And remember, folks, if you're a UFAFL owner, when your player retires, you auction off the fantasy player contract of that player to the Legends League, which that auction is going to be going down in October. We'll talk more about that on UFAFL Nation as the weeks go on. And league play will start in February in like the ultimate simulation. When we get to that, my goodness, it's going to blow everybody away. It's absolutely nuts. Wait. How cool this is going to be. But I like that Tom Brady because while he doesn't give you the leg upside, of course, boy, Skrizz, they say Father Time is undefeated, but I don't know. Tom Brady's got him on the ropes.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to defeat Father Time is avocado toast, apparently.
That's it. Avocado toast and like the cryogenic freezing or whatever he does. Like, I don't know. He keeps doing it, man.
I don't. Yeah. And his O-line is a top 5 unit. Like I know Tristan Wirfs, I think went around he went in like the 6th round. An absolute steal on the rookie deal. And yeah, so for people that don't know, for O-line stats, you get team rushing yards and sacks allowed. So like Tom Brady, he doesn't get sacked ever. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably going to be winning a lot of games, so they're going to be rushing the ball in the second half quite a bit. So yeah, that's a great point about Tom Brady. Were there any other teams draft strategies that you thought, like anything that stood out to you, things that you were shocked by?
Well, to go back to the offensive line point, it's interesting because, again, you're still going to be able to get those rookies in the rookie auction. And there's those offensive linemen, the currency behind them are so valuable based on, it's almost like reverse strategy, Skrizz, because you're trying to get, in this first year of the UFAFL, you're trying to get the cheapest O-lineman on the best offensive line. So instead of getting the top guy, because this season you will share the stats for the success of the team for each offensive lineman. You have to start 5 O-linemen from any position. That's what was interesting to me, to see how people either understood that or didn't, and what that strategy is going to be on the rookie end of it. So I think when you look, you mentioned the Paradise Blackhawks. They went big. They went Mahomes and, like you said, Zeke Elliott, because maybe, Skrizz, guess what, too? Maybe Chris Carter, maybe Michael Vick, maybe they know these guys a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
maybe a little bit.
Maybe they know them. Maybe there's marketing opportunities for them at some point. I don't know. But maybe that's why you go big and you want the star power. I think with Gridiron Seals, led by Nick Lewis, CFL Hall of Famer, I know chatting with him, he's like, as soon as I saw Josh Allen's name on the board, like if it was an actual draft, that would be the proverbial sprinting to the podium with the card in your hand, saying, hey, I'll take him. And they coupled that up. Their 1-2 punch was they went with the first stack, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. So a lot of money there, but you got one of the most potent dynamic offenses. So if you want star power and spend big early, then fill in the rest, you got arguably the best or one of the top 3 fantasy quarterbacks and the best or one of the top 3 fantasy wide receivers in the now.
Yeah, interesting. For you guys playing like your home leagues, stacking a QB with his number 1 option. So, like, for example, if Stephon Diggs has 100 yards and a touchdown and you get a 2-point bonus for hitting 100 yards, that's 24 points right there between ignoring Josh Allen's yards. But that's just 24 points if Stephon Diggs has 100 yards and a touchdown. Anyway, so talking about scouting, I guess we should be aware that NCAA is right around the corner. So for these guys in the UFAFL, you better have your general managers watching college football, because you need to know these guys coming up for these auction bids, because you're gonna need to stockpile these assets down the road.
Well, great point, and absolutely. And the real wrinkle to it, I'm sure you'll have on UFAFL Nation in the coming shows, Skrizz, you'll have our director of scouting, Jamie Thomas, on as a guest.
Oh, absolutely.
That futures auction is coming up, because after this season, any new player that enters the UFAFL will need to be entered via scout. So each team, you'll have to buy them. So we're encouraging, hey, an owner cannot physically be a scout, but your general manager can register on as a scout at UFFsports.com. So you have to have an association. And if your GM does not, or you're a one-man show, then you have to try to make sure you have you build that relationship with a scout or two or an agency, because you have those in the UFF Sports platform as well. You got to have a relationship, because otherwise, Skrizz, you don't want to be popped up in some wild auction where a scout maybe stands alone and just like, well, okay, hey, I need this guy, and you get caught in a crazy bidding war. So everything will flow through the scouting side moving forward, and that's going to be really fascinating. So that's going to be in September, the futures auction for, like you said, watching college football and going from there. Exactly,
because for the guy who has Derrick Henry, for example, you're only going to have him for maybe 2 years, 3 years tops. Yeah. You better start scouting those young running backs early to replace that. So it's an excellent point by you, Andy. So might as well wrap up episode 1 here. This was amazing, just talking fantasy football with you again and getting involved with this insane league that's going to take so much of your time running all this. And oh man, can't wait to talk to our buddy Max, the commissioner of the league. We're going to get him on a future episode. Hopefully get Jamie Thomas in as well next week. Some of these guys, hey, maybe Michael Vick will join the show one time. We'll try.
Who knows?
What's the worst that can happen? He says no.
Skrizz is a seasoned producer. The worst you can. Hey, you might as well ask, right?
Can't score if you don't shoot. I think
that's right.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky. So
yeah.
So thank you, Andy, once again. Yeah, thanks, brother, for joining me. Got to thank our production team, Dean Millard, Darren Bates, the guys at IKS helping us out. This was a blast, and I can't wait to watch this going forward. And football's almost here, man. It's getting close. Last week of preseason's coming up. Can't wait to see what happens. And yeah, buddy, thanks again, and I guess we'll talk later.
For sure, Skrizz. Well, anytime. I'm sure we'll be chatting a lot on this program and throughout. So everybody, make sure you stay tuned. You're following at UFAFL_UFFS on Twitter and Instagram, and at UFF Sports on Twitter also. There's going to be some contests. Going to be, you know what, Skrizz? I'll give you some breaking news to leave on. I'll give you some. I'll give you this right now. Going to be giving away a copy of Madden 22 from my friends at EA Sports.
Whoa!
So you got to be following on Twitter. You're going to get a chance to win your copy, but you got to be following along at UFAFL_UFFS. That's going to be coming real soon. So make sure you want a copy of Madden for free from your old buddy Andy Mack. Got you covered. You got to follow.
You're just the guy that keeps on giving, pal. We appreciate you here. All right, so to everybody at the UFSN, my name is Michael Skrzyniak. Follow me on Twitter, Michael_SKRZ. You can follow Andy at NDMC81. #AskAndy for all of your fantasy questions. And we will catch you guys next week.